All right, so I'm sitting here with Joe Turner, and we're talking about the 7 Songs of Sorrow. So why don't you start by telling me when did this whole story take place?
The story takes place, it's actually the 7 songs are songs that I wrote after I got divorced.
Okay.
Yeah, so these are songs that came out during the divorce.
Okay. And were you living in New York at this time?
No. Are you talking about Chameleon?
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's just the names, and like it's kind of like one of those the names and places have been changed to protect the innocent.
Okay. Now, like, I've listened to this album countless of times. You can tell, and that's why I was kind of like, okay, the divorce, I totally understood that. Like, you can totally tell that you got your heart completely ripped out of you and, like, broken in so many pieces. And, you know, what I get from the album is this first taking place and, like, how you got over it and, you know, what your next stages were, but how it still affected you, you know, right up to this day and that kind of stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you put this album together? Because it's awesome. It's like a book, like from start to finish. There is no song that I think is out of place in this whole thing. Right.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of put together like that after when I started writing it. I wasn't intentionally writing an album. They were just songs that were coming out of me, and some of them were coming out pretty fast. And it wasn't until it was probably 2 years later when I started recording, maybe even a bit longer when I started recording it. I actually put out a rock album in between. You know, it was released first before 7 Songs of Sorrow, and when I started looking back at the songs that I was writing, and thinking of the next album, I looked at all the songs that were from that period, and they started to tell a story to me, a story of, and it showed like how, you know, yeah, I was hurt. And then you have to rebuild and move forward.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think one of the questions that I have, and I didn't realize it was a divorce at the time when I kind of thought of this question, is what does your girlfriend now think of the success of the album and the album itself? Because you're expressing, you know, very deep feelings for another woman.
Yeah, she's fine. You know, she knows it was, you know, it was kind of like therapy for me. Excellent. And yeah, she hasn't said anything, but she does enjoy, you know, all the songs. I do know there is one that she, you know, that she would rather probably not hear.
Skip over.
So, but she does enjoy like all the songs, right? So
yeah, no, definitely. You know, all the shows that I've seen you live, she's always been there and been your #1 supporter of it. So
for sure.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I always kind of wondered that myself. So
well, I actually stopped performing, and I've never stopped writing, but I stopped performing and recording and stuff for 10 years. And you know, I kind of stopped doing music, and then I went back to school, and you know, started a career. And then it was when I met Jill, and she heard some of my songs that she really pushed me back into music. So
wow,
it's all her fault.
It's all her fault. Oh, that's awesome. So when did you release this album?
This album was released in January.
Okay.
Of this year, yeah.
And it took you roughly how long to put together?
It took me about. I had there was some problems during the recording and stuff like that. That's a really long story, but it took me a bit longer than expected. It took me about 8 months.
8 months?
8 months, yeah.
Right on.
And we recorded it. We did the recording itself in a home studio in Langley, in a room that was probably like size of a big walk-in closet.
Like the size of my apartment.
And then we took that and we remixed it and everything at Vaudeville Studios in Poco.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any plans for the future?
Well, right after I finished the CD, I had to put a new band together.
Okay.
And so I've been, as you know, I've been tightening that band up. We're looking at expanding the lineup, getting another guitar player, and maybe add some saxophone and stuff like that.
Wow.
But we're just right now. It's kind of been a bad summer because everybody's on holidays and everything. So my drummer's gone away for a month. So we're back at it. The first week of September, we're going to be back in practice and just we're writing. We're starting to write a lot more. So I've actually started kind of recording or at home painting kind of the next direction where I want to go. So there's a whole pile of new songs coming down the pipe.
Oh, excellent. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really exciting. All right. Well, I guess my last question would be, out of this whole album, is there a particular message that you want your listeners to kind of take from the whole thing, or?
There's not really any lesson or anything. It's more of this album for me. It's more of just a lot of feeling that came out, and it was basically my therapy for getting out of a long-term long-term relationship or marriage, and being thrown out into the wolves of into the wolves of society, I guess, where you haven't been single or anything in over 10 years, and all of a sudden you find yourself lost, and you have to actually start again.
I totally agree with you. I think that's why I related to this album so much, is because I recently got out of a really long-term relationship, and it was a really, really bad way to end things. And basically, like you said, is you're kind of thrown out within the wolves, and you don't know where you are, you don't know what to do. It's just listening to your CD really gave myself encouragement, right? Because I was like, oh, buddy, I know exactly what you're feeling right now. I feel so sorry for you. And then just listening to the rest of the album, it's kind of like, it builds you up, and you're like, okay, there is life after this, Like, I remember crying on the phone with my sister, being like, oh my God, like, I swear to God, I feel like I'm going to be dying. Like, if I die, like, you'll know it's from a broken heart,
Exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, I guess 7 Songs of Sorrow could be a companion piece to anybody who's just coming out of a relationship.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. It brings out a lot of strong feelings when I'm listening to it. So it's really interesting. So.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anyways, is there anything else that you'd like to say?
No, I'm good.
All right, cool.
I'm off to Mexico.
You're off to Mexico. That's awesome. Well, I'm Jordan Gray with VanMusic.ca, and we were just talking to Joe Turner.